Hello everyone, welcome back to G&J Exploring. In today's video we leave Sucre and head by bus further south into Bolivia. We start this video with sunrise in Sucre before heading to the city of Potosi, where we go visit a mine in a very large mountain near the city. The following day we reach the town of Uyuni, which is on the banks of a very large salt lake, where we have some fun with some photos. On reaching Potosi, we spend some time in the city centre having a look at some of the sites, before donning some protective equipment and visiting the miners' market to get some snacks for the miners, and then heading up to the mine to go look inside it. After that, and a little bit of reflection about the very poor conditions people working at the mine, we head back into town and visit the Tambo restaurant to have a very nice, authentic dinner. The following day we reach Uyuni and spend a little bit of time looking around the town, where unfortunately there's not too much to do, before heading to the main attraction, which is the salt flats nearby, where we spend the afternoon and evening looking at the wonderful views, taking a lot of photographs and doing quite a lot of drone flying around the amazing landscape. Our travel by bus on this part of the trip made it slightly slower going, but it was good to have the opportunity to look at the landscape of Bolivia, which is very pretty. In Potosi we had a nice time looking around the city, but going to visit the mine was potentially a little bit too much, and I'm not sure if I would recommend it to somebody who was visiting the city. Uyuni though was excellent. The town itself can be left alone to a certain extent, but the salt flats nearby were absolutely amazing and definitely worth visiting if you're in the area. Anyway, we hope you enjoy this video, and on with the show. It's a new day here in Bolivia, and I've got up early this morning to go up the hill to Plaza Pedro de Anzures, or similar pronunciation, and it's about a 800-metre walk up from the hotel, up from the city centre, and you come up here for this nice view of the church across the square. You've got the sun coming up over the hill and spinning round. In ideal times you get a wonderful view out, down towards the city, with all the white buildings looking very spectacular. Now unfortunately I don't think I have that view, but let's go have a look. And there we go, not quite the view I wanted, as it's rather misty, but we'll wander down some of the cobbled streets here and see what else we can find. And here we are, just a little bit to the side of the main square, and we're walking down this lovely cobbled street with the sun and the mist in the air. On our way to Potosi, we have had an unscheduled stop while the bus driver tries to fix something, but we've been deposited on top of a hill and we've got a lovely view down the valley to the snowy mountains in the distance. And well, hopefully we won't be too long. It is very nice to get the view and stretch some legs. After a fairly pleasant bus ride, we are now wandering through Potosi. So Potosi is a fairly poor town here in Bolivia, but it used to be very rich, as there is a silver mine nearby we'll be going into later today. Hopefully we've got a bit more time to look around, and well, apparently it is poor. It does look very nice, at least here in the centre. I certainly can't complain with the views, and later on hopefully we'll have a bit more time to wander around. We have now got in uniform to go up to the mine. So we've got trousers on, Wellington boots, hard hats, lights, and the first stop for us is the miners' market, where we need to buy some gifts for the miners. So we've got some juices because they don't have any water in the mine. We've got some coca leaves, so they're all stimulated the entire time they're there. And we're going to be buying some stuff. Juliet has been nominated as the person in charge, and once we've bought the stuff, we're going to be heading up to the top of the hill, which is over there. You might be able to see. I'll be diving into the mine. So we are now up on the mountain. We've got a great view of Potosi down there, and spinning around we've got a lot of dogs, a lot of wannabe miners, and we're going to be heading into the mountain very shortly. We've been told a little bit about the history of the place, There's apparently about 50 years left of silver, and there is silver deeper in the mountain, but it might be below the water table, so it's going to be hard to mine. But the mine here has been active for around 500 years, and at one point it made Potosi a very rich city. Anyway, I think next stop is going to be feeding some dogs some snacks, and then hopefully going in a mine. So we're a bit further up, and we have some miners coming out of a mine, and this is very unsterilised. People do work here. They work here in fairly bad conditions, but they're fairly keen on tourists coming because we bring them snacks. So I've got a lot of water here, for instance. So we're carrying on up to apparently a bit of a mine which is more accessible, but looking to the top of the hill, this used to be about 400 metres high, so we're about 4,200 metres above sea level. The top's about 4.8, I think the chap said, but it used to be above 5,000, but that's where all the good silver was in the past. So that's where the Spanish mined all of it out in the 15 and 1600s. And we're here, we have Juliet giving the miners some snacks, which is one of our main purposes. You say "Emai now you to them," which means something along the lines of, here you go, hope you will enjoy this. I'll have to caption that, of course. But Juliet's getting rid of her snacks, and as she's the leader, she has that responsibility. Anyway, we've got the mine carts there, and very soon we'll be heading down into the mine. And here we are, wandering through the mine.
¿Cómo estás?
And here we are, exiting the mine. And there we go, that was quite an experience. And the group is slowly filtering out. So in the mine, we went to a shrine for the goddess of the mountain and the devil. Because they're the two people you've got to satisfy when you're down in the mine, and you give donations when you're down there. Anyway, really good visit, but very humbling because this is a working mine. People have a hard life here, and they sometimes don't last as long as they should do. So we're back in the town after our trip to the mine, and it was really good, but as I said earlier, there is a massive human cost to what people are doing there. People don't live too long, and over the entire history of the mountain it's estimated something like 8 million people died, mainly in the Spanish times, but even so now. But at least the money from tourism does go back to the workers and does help with safety and give them a bit more cash. Anyway, that's it for the mine, and we'll be going into town after this to have a look around. We are now back in the centre of Potosi, and Juliet and I are trying to hunt down a bit of silver from the mine. We're not having much luck so far, but we'll see what else we find now we're getting back towards the main square. Later on today we're going to go for some nice authentic Bolivian food, and then tomorrow we're going further west in Bolivia to the city of Uyuni and the salt flats, which are very nearby to it. It's quite a bit later in the evening, and we've just had a wonderful native Bolivian dinner at a place called Tambo Señorial, right in front of me, just down from the hotel. And Juliet and I had some tacos and a very hearty corn soup. Anyway, we are now going back to the hotel. It's going to be an early start tomorrow, or early-ish at least, and a lot of bus driving tomorrow, so we need to get a bit of a rest. So we'll see you tomorrow. We are on our way to Uyuni, and we've stopped by the side of the road, one, to get a look at the wonderful view all around, and two, because high in the distance there is a condor flying around. Now you almost certainly won't be able to see it because it is quite a long way away, and even though it's a very big bird, the second biggest in the world, it's very hard to see from here, but it was very impressive to look at. And soon I think we'll be heading off to Uyuni, about 2 hours away. So, after a very interesting journey to the salt flats from Uyuni, we're now here, and the salt flats have water on them, at least after the wet season, which it is, and the water obviously reflects the sky wonderfully. And right now, it is very hard to tell where the salt flats and the water end and the sky begins. Anyway, we've opted for a tour which has a bit of a photo shoot element to it. So any photos in this video will be done by the photographer maybe. They'll look very professional, I'm sure. But I'm here mainly just to have a look at the scenery. I'm going to send the drone up in a little bit, and Julia and I are going to spend the rest of the afternoon here, and then we'll be here for sunset as well, which will be in a couple of hours time. So while I've shown you something quite serene, it is a bit of a palaver around us with lots of 4x4s from various different tour companies, but generally speaking it's all handled fairly well. So after some more droning, we now have the sunset here over the Salt Lake, and it really is spectacular. So you can see the sun dipping below the horizon there, and you can see the reflections in the water. And if I go down a bit, it gets even better. So the sun has set, and we have the orange coming up over the horizon still. We've got some mountains all around. People are starting to disappear as you're about to see some 4x4s drive across the lake. But we're going to be here a little bit longer. We're going to be doing some astrophotography. I don't think I'm going to be doing anything on the GoPro, but I'll be taking some photographs and maybe they'll make their way into the video. And I'll do one last spin around to look at the wonderful view of all over the place. So this tour cost Juliet and I $50, and we had some professional photos taken, which is nice. And while we were we don't think we really needed professional photographs, they're nice enough, and for $50 you really can't complain. So it's a couple of hours since the last video, and I'm still walking around the salt lake looking at the sky. I've been doing a bit of astrophotography. Maybe you'll see some of the photos in this video, but it's been really wonderful. The Milky Way is incredibly clear. I'm pointing up at it now. I doubt again you'll be able to see it, but now we are leaving. The Jeep is over there. We're all getting ready to get into it, and tomorrow we'll be heading out across the salt flats in a 4x4, and I'm sure we'll have more videos for you tomorrow.